One of the favourite residences of the Dukes of Brittany in the Middle Ages, Vannes is now a bustling seaport. And there's even more activity today because Vannes is the starting point for stage 3 of the Tour de France. Hello again, everybody. I'm Phil Liggett, and welcome today to southern Brittany in France, and this is the old port of Vannes. And just over to my right, a very busy start area indeed for this year's start of the Tour de France on stage number 3. Well, yesterday the Belgians finally got something out of this Tour de France, Wilfred Nellison winning the sprint and taking the overall lead. You know, it's 8 years since a Belgian rider has worn the yellow jersey in the Tour de France, and it's worth noting now that the rider then, Eric van der Aarden in 1985, is today the very last man in the race. Well, Alan Piper was out and amongst the people of the village this morning. Let's join him now to see who he's got with him.
I spoke to Cipollini before, and he said he started the sprint too late. He thought he could win too easily. What do you say to that?
You say that maybe, if you see the sprint with 9 riders, then you must not take a risk to stay. I think yesterday I was very good. I think normally he cannot beat me.
Did you get more confidence by winning the bonification sprint along the road?
Yeah, so I win the first and the second, and in my mind is coming up, I say normally I win the stage also if there's not a problem. So.
But you won so easily, and when Bunyo attacked, how was it that you happened to be just near him?
Yeah, Bunyo attacked. Yeah, he was riding fast, and I looked behind me, and there was maybe 2 or 3 riders at 10 meters. I say, that's not possible. I look on my kilometric, and I saw 60 per hour. I say, oh, that's very fast. Yeah, and then you can believe it. Yeah, it's very hard in the final.
So Bunyo was riding 60 kilometers an hour. How did you feel then?
It was not so good then. Yeah, it's normally, it's the Tour de France.
Thanks, Alan. Well, the overall classification this morning makes happy reading for Nellison, doesn't it? He's 17 seconds ahead of Miguel Indurain in his second Tour de France, and also in third place there, Mario Cipollini, who's won 1 stage and could well be the winner again today. The world champion, Gianni Bunyo, 26 seconds off the pace, and Thierry Marie, who was caught so near the finish yesterday, is in 5th slot, 28 seconds down. It's been a tough start for the 2 Australians, but Phil Anderson is now beginning to make progress. He's up to 159th and only 1 minute 54 seconds off the pace. Neil Stevens, called into service by his team yesterday, was tailed off near the end. He's now 173rd. Well, it really is a beautiful day here, and in Brittany they love the Tour de France. If anything, it is the most interesting area for cycle racing. Today we go due north for a while, and then we swing over to the right towards the finish at Dinard. There are 2 climbs, the steepest being the Mur de Bretagne, and for you cycling enthusiasts, this used to be the scene of a great circuit race, and this is a very difficult and very well-known climb. There are 3 time bonus sprints on the route as well, and that is where Wilfred Nellison really must watch out. Cipollini will be hunting for him. Let's now join Paul Sherwin for an early update on the racing.
The rollout this morning for the 176 survivors of the Tour de France came at 11:50. The ramparts around the old town of Vannes made an ideal vantage point for the Bretons to wave them off on the 3rd stage of the Tour de France. One non-starter was Arsenio Gonzalez of the class team. He fractured his elbow in one of those crashes yesterday, and Tony Rominger's team is now reduced to just 7 men. In professional cycling, everyone respects the performances of a colleague, even when you're the world champion. Gianni Bunyo has time along with Claudio Chiappucci to congratulate Wilfred Nellison on the first yellow jersey of his young career. The weather forecast for the day: a cloudy start, which will turn to clear blue skies later. A strong northeasterly wind with gusts of up to 50 kilometers an hour. The temperature around the finish is expected to drop to around 19 degrees Celsius.
Off the front of the bunch, it was shortly after 1 o'clock, there was an attack by 2 riders, Laurent Debian of the Castorama team and Marc Sergeant of Nellison's Novomai team.
It was actually Debian who launched the move, and Sargent went along just as the policeman. He just wants to mark the move to make sure that it doesn't get too far. He doesn't even want it to succeed. He's just there to defend the position of the team leader, Wilfred Nellison.
And Serjon did his job well. At the time bonus sprint at Pontivy after 63 kilometres, he won the 6-second bonus ahead of Debian. The main field were over 10 minutes back. By the 80-kilometre point, they were 13 minutes and 40 seconds down. And the breakaway of those two riders are now within the sights of the big field as Laurent Fignon heads up the chase. There he is to the left of our picture, the great French winner of the Tour de France in 1983-84, affording us a smile. But I'll tell you, the pace has been very, very hot this last couple of hours because the breakaway of Marc Serjon and Laurent Debian, they've been in the lead now for 115 kilometres. The gap went up, in fact, to over 13 minutes, but now it is down, Paul, to just around about a minute. It looks as though they're going to get caught.
Well, they're only just round one or two of these little corners, and it won't be long before the MG boys of Mario Cipollini will have them in their sights. And they've done a great job over the last couple of days bringing it all back together. In fact, interestingly enough, fantastic tactic there by the Novimai riders by putting Marc Sargent into the front group, meaning that they didn't have to chase, leaving all the onus on the GB boys to do all the work.
And there is Cyril Guimard, who's trained more winners of the Tour de France than any other manager, and now talking to his latest protégé, Laurent Debian, a new professional and winner recently of the 4 days of Dunkirk. Well, the MG boys have got control of the front. They can now sense their quarry is only just up the road. And watch out for Cipollini. He's wearing the green jersey as leader of the race on points, but he isn't, in fact, the leader. Because that honour befalls the man in the yellow jersey today, Wilfred Nellison. But obviously he can't wear both jerseys, and so the green jersey is being worn by the second man in that competition, which at the moment is Mario Cipollini. There's the rainbow jersey, the man who is the world champion, Gianni Bugno, who's won it for the last 2 years, and is riding a very, very good Tour de France so far.
Well, 1 kilometre to the sprint there, I think I saw the sign. And it looks as if these two riders will stay in front for the first and second place in that bonus sprint. But it'll be interesting to see behind if Mario Cipollini does take up the challenge and go for the 2-second bonus for third place.
Now, are they going to sprint it out? I don't think really Desbian is going to be too worried about the small time bonus. Marc Serjon might want to collect it and keep it in the team of the Novomai because it's the same team as Nellison. He already has won one today at Pontivy after 63 kilometres. We're now 105 kilometres further along the road, and the same two riders in the lead. 100 metres to the line, and I think Desbian is not going to bother, Paul.
I don't think you contest this sprint because earlier in the day, Marc Sargent did let him have the 2 King of the Mountains points. He went over those in first place, and that gave him probably the lead in the mountains classification, so he's let Sargent go through there in first place. But what's going to be interesting now is to look back down the road and see who takes up the challenge and to go for the 2-second sprint, and it could be quite an exciting sprint because even Jamaluddin Abdoujaparov would like to try and get up there and get a few seconds.
Well, let's hope that our French hosts here will swing this down. There they are, and it looks as though Laurent Jalabert has gone under the banner there in third place, taking the 2 seconds bonus. So Cipollini now cannot take the lead if he wins the stage unless there is a time gap on the line today, and the MG boys again are attacking to try and finish off this breakaway. And so there are the two riders out in front. They've thrown out the towel, I think. They're now awaiting the arrival of the big peloton, so the breakaway will shortly be over.
Over the 21 days of the Tour de France, the riders spent hours and hours in the saddle. But after the stage, the time they have is precious for recharging the batteries and getting their bodies ready for the next onslaught. A day in the life of Neil Stevens would put most people in hospital.
At the Onset Team Hotel, it's the start of another day for both riders and their team managers. And one of the most important parts of the routine is breakfast. When you're racing up to 5.5 hours in the saddle, nutrition is critical, and everyone has his own tastes.
Well, I'm not a real omelette man. You know, I like a bit of muesli and a bit of bread and that sort of stuff. A lot of the other guys eat ham and cheese and omelettes and rice and stuff.
You still have your cup of tea, though?
Oh, yeah, got to have me cover. I have about 3 or 4 cups of here over brekkie, a couple of cups of tea, a couple of cups of coffee, and then off to the toilet, and then I'm right to go. I go to my room, get my suitcase ready for the masseur to take away, and then basically relax until the time to leave. And then we go in the team bus, in which we have a team meeting and off to the start.
Upstairs, the team soigneurs are making sure the riders don't waste their energy. They even carry the riders' suitcases downstairs to the bus. The drive from the hotel to the start is the last chance to relax, even though it's a battle to get to the line, sign on, and fulfill the public relations role expected by the fans. It's a hectic start to another day on the road. For Neil Stevens, being part of one of the strongest cycling teams in the world means making sacrifices. First, just to make the team, and then during the race, helping his better-known teammates Alex Zuller, Laurent Jalabert and Eric Brukink.
My job in a case like that is to find out where Alex is, find out where Brukink is, and basically try to get them to the front. If I don't enter in the first echelon, well, my first job is to get them in the front. If I can get in there later on, well, that's good, but if I can't, well, I've got to look after them first, and, well, if I come in 5 minutes or 10 minutes down, it doesn't really matter.
At the finish, Neil may be at the back of the pack, but if an onset rider is among the top finishers, then he's done his job.
Water carrier, wheel changer, and I take you guys to the front. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough stuff to do all the work I was meant to do.
Once the day's racing is over and the team heads back to the hotel, the stress of the day falls away, and the riders almost immediately begin to prepare for the next day. But they have lots of help with such mundane things as the laundry.
We saw your soigneur come in just before getting your washing, so you don't do any washing yourself.
No, our contract says we're bike riders, so that's about all we have to do in this team. When we arrive in the hotels, our suitcases are here ready to go. Our mid-afternoon snacks ready to go.
When you bring your suitcases here in the hotel ready to go, who brings them here?
Well, the masseurs, when we leave our hotel in the morning, they come, they get our suitcase, they take it away, take it to our nighttime hotel. They bring it upstairs. Like I say, they have our snacks ready. All we have to do is open the suitcase up, shower ourselves, and then off for a massage.
And you don't clean your bikes either, obviously.
Oh, gee, no. I haven't cleaned my bike for years. I've got a trainer bike at home that I have to wash every now and again, but no, the mechanics, they come along, pick up the bike. They ask you if there's any problems during the day with the bike. They wash it and check the tyres out if they need to replace them. And I suppose that's the good thing about it being in a big budget team. They've got no qualms about changing material that's either wrecked or damaged or whatever. And tomorrow it's just like a brand new bike once again.
After the exertions of stage racing, it's important for riders to get carbohydrates back into their systems as soon as possible. And it's absolutely essential to get a deep tissue massage to free up those muscles tightened by hours of exertion. After that, there's a precious break before dinner.
After the massage, I go back to my room, either relax, I might bring a mate or two, and then wait till just basically pass the time away waiting for 8 o'clock dinner time.
Everyone always thinks that we can eat whatever we want, but basically it's eat what we have to need, our energy needs for tomorrow and what we've burnt up today, and just we have to eat the right amount to not get fat and to let our body recuperate for another day's racing.
Back in his room after his meal, the gutsy Aussie, despite his Spanish onset connection, still likes a touch of midnight oil to take his mind off what he has to do tomorrow. You can take Neil Stevens out of the country, but you can't take the Aussie out of Neil Stevens.
Hi, Mum. Look after the dogs. I'll be home in 1:05 now. I'll be home in about November.
And the riders are all together now, and again the MG boys of Mario Cipollini have got control of this field, and the pace they are setting right now has put half of this race in real trouble at the back.
In fact, I just caught a glimpse there of Eric Brukink getting shelled out at the back there. They really have put the pressure on over the last few kilometres, and they want to make sure that there isn't a little breakaway like there was the other day. In fact, although Mario Cipollini was in that, I think they want to keep the whole field together so that Cipollini has his best chance of winning the sprint. There is the 10 kilometre to go banner, so 10 kilometres to go for these riders now.
And a tight fit it is too, Paul, as the riders try now to slow down at the back. You have real problems when you race at the back of these big fields because the leaders are through so quickly while the middle of the field has to slow down, and that always makes it much harder for the riders at the back to keep in contention. These are the men now in control of today's stage of the Tour de France, and there's the yellow jersey now of Wilfried Nellison, about 6 or 7 men back, positioning himself yet again for a good finish.
Definitely, he's one of the top sprinters as well. In fact, he's had 9 second places this year, and 4 of those were behind Mario Cipollini. So I think he'll be able to try and prove that he is a good sprinter, and as good as the man who claims to be the fastest man in the world, Super Mario. One interesting thing today, though, we haven't seen very much of the Banesto team at the front. They've been playing their cards very well. They've let the teams, as the last couple of days, of the sprinters do all the work, because they're thinking on to tomorrow when we have the big team time trial, which is an important race for the teams of the riders who want to win the Tour de France overall.
And just talking about the team time trial, Paul, tomorrow the class team, which has Tony Rominger, the winner of the Tour of Spain for the last 2 years, on their squad. They're going to start 2 men down now, because today they also lost Arsenio Gonzalez. When he got to the finish yesterday, he went to hospital after a crash. It was discovered overnight he had in fact broken his elbow. He was withdrawn this morning, so that team will take on the team time trial 2 men down. That could be a great disadvantage tomorrow to Tony Rominger. But the main field, now you get some idea of the speed over the ground of the big bunch in the Tour de France. They wind their way now onto the shoreline of Brittany. There's a large crowd awaiting them right through to the finish now. And the riders at the front have control of the race. They've blocked off the whole road as they fill it up, as they turn now onto the shoreline. It's an area which has seen the Tour de France many times before. And there over the far side, I think we caught a glimpse there of Saint-Malo.
Just to exaggerate the point we made earlier about the difference between professional racing and amateur racing, people are really always amazed at the speed of a professional bunch in the closing kilometres. Early on, they may potter along at 25 kilometres an hour, but you can be sure the average speed is around about 60 kilometres an hour at the moment, and all the time they have to be aware of those little directional islands when you come off a bridge or you come into a town. You've got to be on your guard all the time, because the field can split, and if you don't follow the man in front of you, you could get one of those directional signs right in the middle of the face.
And that's not too pleasant. 7 kilometres to go, just inside 5 miles from the finish. And right up there amongst the pacemakers is still Marc Sergeant, who was in that long breakaway, yet he's found the strength to keep up here for his team leader, Wilfred Nellison. I think launching an attack. The rider who was the last man to wear the yellow jersey for Belgium in 1985 until yesterday, when Wilfred Nellison won that pleasure, and he, in fact, Van der Orden is last overall in the Tour de France.
But he's definitely not giving up. That's an incredible attack he's put in there. The thing is, nowadays, I get a feeling that the Word Perfect team are not too confident because of the sprint of Mario Cipollini. They don't want to put it down to their sprinters like Jelle Neidem, like Frédéric Moncassin. They're going for the move to try and get away in the last couple of kilometres and surprise the field. They've dragged, that attack has dragged 3 riders clear at the moment.
Well, that's Perini, who's come up in 2nd place, the leader of the Mobility team. And Van der Orden has given an awful lot of effort to try and break them away. He's got the gap now. Has he got the legs to stay in touch? The other rider is a Lamprey rider who's tagged on at the back. Well, Perini certainly isn't a great sprinter, but he is a very good, what they call a stayer. But look at this, people coming on the back all the time and somebody else launching down the outside.
It's like one of the Carrera riders going again.
Well, they've obviously worked it out, Paul, that they cannot beat Mario Cipollini in a fair sprint. So they're going to loosen him up before they get to the finish.
Well, it's the only possibility. The man is so fast. He's won so many sprints this year, and from positions that have been almost impossible. A little sign there from the Carrera rider at the front. Come on, we've got the gap. Let's keep it going. Perini trying to get round there, but it looks to me as if there are a lot more riders coming back up there.
And just look, the damage it's done to the main field here, this long climb as they come up towards the finish. This looks like Claudio Chiappucci. Chiappucci himself, the man that you can't keep down. He must have known about this little climb, and Claudio Chiappucci now on the attack at 3 kilometres to go. The Carrera boys have a plan today. They'll launch another attack on the other side of the road.
Well, that's Lars Sorensen, and he was followed smartly there by one of the Motorola riders. And again, it's TVM coming up there. 4th place is Lance Armstrong in the American Champions jersey, but Sorensen really riding excellently at the moment. And the Carrera team is a team that we're going to have to be very careful of over the next few days.
Well, this is superb attacking riding now. Is this Jesper Skibby who's making his run here for Denmark? Sorensen has missed the wheel there as Skibby, and Phil Anderson too. And this looks like the familiar crouch figure of Jesper Skibby who's going away. Well, for the first time ever, Danish television transmitting 70 hours coverage of the Tour de France this year, and every day we have been treated to the Danish riders on the attack in the last couple of kilometres. The first day it was Bjorn Ries, then it was Jürgen Sorensen, and now it is Jesper Skibby.
They really have been putting the show on for the home crowd, but Skibby, actually, it's nice to see him at the front here attacking, because he had an exceptionally bad crash earlier on in the year with a bad head injury, and it was as if he was going to be out for the whole season, but he came back in the Tour of Luxembourg, and almost immediately he was on the attack. And here, with less than 2 kilometres to go now, it looks as if he's been reeled in, but you can see everybody still wanting to attack.
Indeed, that crash in the Tirreno Adriatico race in March in Italy, at one stage doctors did fear that Jesper Skibby would lose his life, but as you can see, he's recovered fully. He's won a stage in the recent Tour of Italy, and Lance Armstrong goes on the far side. The 21-year-old American champion won the title just a couple of weeks ago, has gone, but immediately the Italians have got his wheel and not willing to work, and Jesper Skibby demanding more effort as Cipollini's boys in white are trying to get back into some sort of control in this race, but Word Perfect have gone again. That's Yellow Nidam, who's now gone on the far side. Yellow Nidam, nobody is going to allow Cipollini any more armchair rides to the finish line, that's for sure.
Well, that's an excellent tactic. That's the only way I think that you can beat this man. He is so rapid. If he comes to the finish line in 10th or 12th position, he's so fast he can move up there. But it looks as if that attack by Nidam as we go under the red kite with 1 kilometre to go was not good enough, and the whole field is together. He has to keep the speed up now, and maybe his teammate there will be in his wheel. It looks as if there's another Word Perfect man. It may be Frédéric Moncassin, but you can be sure now that Abdoujaparov will be moving up, and Mario Cipollini won't be too far away.
Nidam sits up, swings off. In fact, the yellow jersey is there, so too is the green jersey of Cipollini. They are both there. You can see Cipollini, his white sunglasses, got the wheel of the yellow jersey, Nelson. So it's one-on-one for the men who've won the 2 previous stages of this year's Tour de France. They are now together. Advantage Cipollini, surely he's on the back wheel there of the yellow jersey of Nelson. Of 400 metres to go now. Olaf Ludwig is at the front too. The former Olympic Games champion is sold in 1988. Ludwig in the centre of picture. Now they're swinging across. Nelson in second place. Cipollini is waiting. This could be Cipollini's stage now if he opens up his firepower. Abdoujaparov comes on Cipollini's shoulder. Cipollini, Abdoujaparov, Wilfred Nelson, the 3 fastest men in the world, neck and neck.